Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session. This is our special educative series on technical basics of technical analysis, and this is we are going to discuss the first chapter in this, the basic of technical analysis, that is candlestick patterns 101. Today we have with us our research analyst Karan Pai, who will be taking you through the session, and we will be discussing all the basics of candlestick pattern and how you can use them for technical analysis. So let's get started with the session. Over to you, Karan.
Yeah, thank you for that. And as my colleague just said, um, we will be discussing about candle patterns, but we'll do one thing. We are expecting a few more people, and we'll wait for another 2 or 3 minutes so that everybody can join in and we can start in all at the same time. In the meanwhile, guys, if there's anything specific that you're looking from the session, please post it in the comments so we know that what is the expectation. And if there's anything that needs to be changed in our presentation, we could do it accordingly. Yeah. And also feel free to prompt us if you are going too fast, if you're not able to understand any concept. Drop your messages in the chat box, or if you have any queries about the subjects that we are covering, drop your messages in the chat box. We'll try and cover most of the queries that we get. And another thing, guys, I'll be repeating it again. Any questions, please put it up on the chat. For reasons of logistics and to avoid the confusion, we have muted everyone. So any doubts, please post it in the chats. We have the chat box open in front of us. If the doubt can be cleared in the flow of the explanation, we will take it up. In case it needs more explanation and could disturb the flow, we will take that up at the end of the session.
And guys, those who are watching us, those are watching us on YouTube, you can you can post your queries on the live chat on YouTube. We are watching that, and we will be very we are looking forward to answer all of them. Those who have joined us on WebEx, you can put your queries in the chat box, and we'll be very happy to answer them all. We'll be starting in a few minutes.
Okay, so we'll start with today's session. And first of all, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And, thank you for being a part of this educational journey. So this is one of the first webinars about technical analysis, which is a part of our education series that we'll be covering in the weeks to come. So we are first covering candle patterns or candlesticks, as you might say. So from here on, for candlesticks, I'll be referring to candlesticks as candles, because obviously candlesticks, instead of telling candlesticks proper, I mean someone like us, I mean we talk about candlesticks every day, so we just say candles instead of candlesticks. So from here on, the moment I say candles, I mean candlesticks. So with that out of the way, What we'll do is I'll quickly run you through the topics that we'll be covering today. And first off, we'll start off with the introduction. We'll introduce you to the candles and the anatomy of a candle. Then there are single candlestick patterns, multiple candlestick patterns. Bullish and bearish candlestick patterns will be a part of that part 3 and 4. And then we will look at a few charts wherein we will try to practically apply what we have learned till now, and then a quick recap of what we have learned till now. So my delivery will be a bit mixed between Hindi and English, so I hope that is fine. So सबसे पहले आते हैं introduction की तरफ. So now when we talk about candlesticks, this pattern that you see here, this kind of diagram that you see here, this is a proper candlestick. Okay, so candle में, like any other candle, it has a real body. The only difference is for a real candle, it is made out of wax, but here the real body is actually the difference between the open and the close. Correct. So the candle body can be red or black. It can be green or white. Any candle body combination that you would prefer, you can have it. So all you need to do when you're plotting a candle is make sure that you are able to distinguish between bullish and bearish candles. Now, as we go ahead, we see a small line kind of thing drawn above and below the real body, and those are called wicks. जैसे कैंडल में आपने देखा होगा एक विक होता है या वात जिसे हम बोलते हैं, द एंड दैट इज बर्न्ड, दैट इज कॉल्ड अ विक. सो कैंडल में भी, कैंडलस्टिक पैटर्न्स, कैंडलस्टिक्स में भी आपको वो विक है. यहाँ पर द ओनली डिफरेंस इज द अपर विक इंडिकेट्स द हाई ऑफ द डे, or the particular period for which the candle is plotted, and the lower wick actually indicates the low of the session or the low of the period for which the candle is plotted. So candle की जब भी हम लोग बात करते हैं, candlestick की जब भी हम लोग बात करते हैं, there are 4 data points that are plotted. Now we just looked at one single candlestick and we realized that there are 4 data points that are plotted. जैसे मैंने आपको बोला, the real body is a difference between the high, the open and the close. Correct. So at this point we get the open price and the close price. And then I said that the wicks, the upper wick is basically the high of the session and the lower wick is basically the low of the session. So we get the entire OHLC data. मतलब यहाँ पे आपको open, high, low, close सब एक ही diagram में दिख जाता है, या एक ही ये जो डिजाइन है या एक sort of formation है उसमें आपको दिख जाता है. Then coming on to the anatomy. Anatomy मतलब अभी अगर आप समझो कि ये कैंडल चलता कैसे. So on your screen you are able to see 2 candles basically. So आपको एक green candle दिखेगा and एक red candle दिखेगा. Now the keen-eyed among you might have noticed that there is a difference, and then there are a few inscriptions to the left and the right. अभी वो क्या है? Correct. So when we look at the one on the left, that is the green candle, वहाँ पे आप देखो it opened on a lower price and closed at a higher price. मतलब it was a positive session. Correct. And low and high का तो concept आपको पता ही है. Then if it is a positive session, then the candle that is formed is a bullish candle. Vice versa अगर मैं बोलूँ तो जो दूसरा कैंडल है that is a red candle. मतलब ये open तो हुआ higher price पे, but during the day it closed lower. So मतलब it is more of a bearish candle. It is a bearish candle. So ये एक basic distinction होता है between 2 candles, and you should be able to, जब भी आप candlestick plot करो, you should be able to widely distinguish between these 2 candles. ये आपको बात clearly समझनी है.
And guys, just coming to it, as Karan has used the color as green and red to show a bullish and a bearish candle, this color can be of any convention as per your liking. I'm just coming to a chart that which I use. If you see my charts, you will see, I'll just get back to Nifty here. You will see the charts are white and green, with white denoting the downside, bullish bearish candle, and green denoting the bullish candles. Right? So just coming to it, I'll just pick up any of the candles. If you see, let's get this candle of the 5th of January. You see the market opened out here, 5th of June, I'm sorry, 22,000 points. Then we do not know which direction it went to. Okay. Once, if we get into the lower time frame, we know how the market structure happened. But here we see the market has opened at 22,080. the low of the day that was there was 22,038 and 45 points. The high was 22,924 and 35 points, and it closed as 20,008 and 57.25 points. So, as Karan mentioned, the candlestick body gives the open and the close, and the wicks indicate, the higher wick indicates the high price, the highest price that has been reached, and the lower wick indicates the lowest price that has been reached. Now, how does this work? So, example, so the market opened at X price. There was some buying interest, and because of that, the market rallied, or maybe initially there was some selling interest, because of which the market was pushed down to Y price. And from there, it rallied back to a higher new high and closed at a slightly lower or much greater lower close than the high point. So these wicks indicate the path from the open to the low and from the close to the high. What has been the difference? So as Karan mentioned, that is the anatomy of the candle. So bullish and bearish candles. Bullish candles are the ones wherein the close is higher than the open, irrespective of the wicks. I'm not looking at the wicks, I'm just looking at the close and the open. Bullish candle where the close is higher than the open, and bearish candles vice versa, where the close is lower than the open. Right? So bullish, higher close, bearish, lower close. Right? So continuing with Karan, the different candlesticks that we planning to Vikas in Hindi as well. Okay, we will get that. So different candlesticks patterns that we are planning to cover today is the doji candle, one of the most important candlesticks pattern which forms quite often. आपको काफी बार मार्केट में दिखने में आएगा. कुछ एग्जांपल्स भी दिखा देंगे हम. हैमर, हैंगिंग मैन, इन्वर्टेड हैमर एंड शूटिंग स्टार. स्टार्टिंग विद डोजी, करण.
या सो यहाँ तक किसी को कुछ क्वेरी है कि कैंडल बनता कैसे है, पुट इट इन द चैट बॉक्स एंड वी विल ट्राई टू फिगर इट आउट. किसी को कुछ अगर क्वेरी है, जैसे वन ऑफ द व्यूअर्स एक्चुअली सेड कि उनको हिंदी में भी सुनना है, ठीक है. तो एक बात आप ध्यान में रखिए, जब भी आप कैंडल प्लॉट कर रहे हो, आपको वाइडली डिस्टिंग्विश करने होना चाहिए बिटवीन अ बुलिश कैंडल एंड अ बेरिश कैंडल. ठीक है, अगर आप सारे ही कैंडल्स एक ही कलर के रखोगे तो आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा कि किस दिन ये ऊपर गया था, किस दिन नीचे आया था. करेक्ट, बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग यही है. जैसे अभी मेरे कलीग ने आपको एक चार्ट बताया, करेक्ट. ये चार्ट अगर मैं आपके सारे कैंडल्स ही इसमें सफेद कर दूं, आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा कि एग्जैक्टली कौन सा कैंडल पॉजिटिव है, कौन सा कैंडल नेगेटिव है. एंड ठीक है विकास जी, मैं वहीं पे आ रहा हूँ कि कैंडल बनता कैसे है. ठीक है, सो अभी ये फॉर एग्जांपल 4 जून का आप कैंडल देख लीजिए, बहुत बड़ा बेरिश कैंडल है. अभी मुझे ये पता है बेरिश कैंडल है बिकॉज मेरे कलीग ने जो व्हाइट कैंडल्स है वो बेरिश के लिए रखे हैं एंड ग्रीन कैंडल्स जो है वो बुलिश के लिए रखे हैं. ठीक है, सो मार्केट जो है निफ्टी 4 जून को ओपन, 4 जून को आप लोग को पता है कि बहुत बड़ी फॉल आई थी. एंड 4 जून को देखिए मार्केट जो है, अगर आप ऊपर की तरफ देख पा रहे हो, यहाँ पे मुझे ओपन हाई लो क्लोज प्राइसेस आ रहे हैं. एंड अगर आपको भी साथ ही साथ करना है, देन आप लोग भी अपने चार्टिंग प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे निफ्टी का चार्ट ओपन कर सकते हो एंड देन यू कैन आप 4 जून की कैंडल ओपन करके देख सकते हो. सो मार्केट जिस दिन 4 जून को जब ओपन हुआ, वो ओपन हुआ अराउंड 23,214.35 पे. करेक्ट, एंड देन वहां पे एक थोड़ी सी अपमूव आई एंड वो कुछ ही मिनटों में इट टेस्टेड 23,383. करेक्ट, एंड देन वहां से जो हुआ वो हम सबको पता है कि मार्केट वहां से तेजी से गिर गई. करेक्ट, सो जैसे ही गिरी उसने लो टेस्ट किया, दैट वाज सो उसने जो लो टेस्ट किया दैट वाज 21,480 का. एंड देन इट क्लोज्ड हायर, मतलब लो से थोड़ा ऊपर चढ़कर ही क्लोज हुआ है. क्लोज जहां पे हुआ था दैट वाज 22,122 का.
सो विकास जी, जैसे आपने पूछा है बनता कैसे है, जस्ट एक डायग्राम करके कोशिश कर अगर आपको दिखा पाऊं. इज देयर अ पेंसिल हियर? सो मैं आपको ब्रश सो विकास जी जस्ट ये समझिए, आई विल गिव एन एग्जांपल. मार्केट यहाँ पे क्लोज स्टार्ट हुआ, ये पॉइंट पे स्टार्ट हुआ, वहां से फिर मार्केट नीचे की तरफ गया, ठीक है, मार्केट नीचे गया, या लेट्स से मार्केट पहले ऊपर गया. ठीक है, यहां से फिर मार्केट दोबारा नीचे की तरफ गया, from here to here, एंड फाइनली इस लो से स्लाइटली ऊपर क्लोज हुआ. तो ये जो ओपन और इसके बीच का रीजन है, उसको अगर एक बॉक्स मार्क कर दे तो वो बन गया कैंडल आपका,
रियल बॉडी.
द रियल बॉडी, कैंडल का रियल बॉडी। सो ये ऐसे होगा, ये ओपन इधर हुआ एंड ओपन से क्लोज के बीच का जो है ये हो गया कैंडल का बॉडी। वहां से जो मार्केट नीचे की तरफ गया है वो हो गया आपका विक,
लोअर विक या जो सेशन का लो था वो,
ठीक है, अप्रोक्सीमेट। एंड ये जो आपका हायर विक। सो अगर मैं कैंडल को इस तरफ मूव करूं, अगर इसको, इस बॉडी को स्लाइटली मूव करूं, तो ये हो गया आपका, ये बन गया आपका कैंडल। मार्केट में जनरली कन्वीनियंस के पर्पस के लिए, फॉर द सेक ऑफ कन्वीनियंस, हम बुलिश कैंडल को ग्रीन रखते हैं, ग्रीन, या समटाइम्स यू इवन सी अ ब्लू, और बेरिश कैंडल को ज्यादा करके सारे लोग रेड रखते हैं। These colors जो मैंने रखे is only for my convenience. So moving on.
या सो आई होप आपकी क्वेरी क्लियर हो गई हो। नाउ we'll go on to the next slide and जैसे मेरे कलीग ने आपको समझाया कि कैंडल्स के बहुत सारे टाइप्स होते हैं जो पैटर्न्स बनते हैं। सो उसमें एक होता है सिंगल कैंडलस्टिक पैटर्न, मतलब ये कैंडल पैटर्न जो है ये आपको एक ही कैंडल में बनते हुए दिखाई देगा। इसके आपको हम लोग साइकोलॉजी भी समझाएंगे, बट एट अ लेटर स्टेज, जैसे जैसे हम लोग आगे बढ़ते जाएंगे हम लोग आपको समझाएंगे कि कैंडल की साइकोलॉजी क्या है एट एनी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, ठीक है। एंड देन अभी जाते हैं तो सिंगल कैंडल में आज हम लोग कवर करेंगे डोजी, हैमर, हैंगिंग मैन, इन्वर्टेड हैमर और शूटिंग स्टार। अभी ये नाम आई एम प्रीटी श्योर कि आप लोगों ने पहले भी सुने होंगे एंड आपको एक ब्रीफ आइडिया भी होगा सर्टनली कि एग्जैक्टली क्या है ये कैंडल पैटर्न्स या क्या समझाते हैं, बट देन टू विल जस्ट टच बेस ऑन दैट। सो अगर मैं डोजी की बात करूं तो डोजी एक ऐसा कैंडल है जो जहां पर एक रियल बॉडी नाम की चीज ही नहीं है। मतलब ऐसे ऐसे दिन समझिए जहां पे निफ्टी 24,000 पे ओपन होता है, नीचे जाता है 23,900 एंड देन वो वहां से थोड़ा बाउंस मारता है, ऊपर जाता है 24,100 एंड 24,000 पे ही क्लोज होता है, करेक्ट। सो उस दिन अगर आप देखोगे ओपन और क्लोज जो था एक ही लेवल पे हुआ, मतलब 24,000 पे खुला, नीचे गया, ऊपर गया, देन 24,000 पे ही क्लोज हुआ।
Either same or they would be very close to each
other.
Very close.
Yeah. So अगर 24,000 पे ओपन हुआ, क्लोज कैन बी से 24,001 या 23,999 ऐसे सब हो सकता है। मतलब रियल बॉडी आपको क्लोज टू दिखेगी ही नहीं, वैसे वाला सिचुएशन हो जाएगा। सो इन दैट केस क्या है कि आपकी रियल बॉडी जो है वो ना बराबर ही होती है, बस आपको विक्स दिखाई देते हैं। सो ऐसे टाइम पे ये माना जाता है कि मतलब बुल, सबसे पहले तो देखिए हम लोगों ने अज्यूम किया था कि 24,000 पे ओपन हुआ, वहां से गया 23,900, मतलब बेयर ने कंट्रोल, बेयर ट्राइड टू टेक कंट्रोल ऑफ द सेशन, बट वहां से बुल्स आए एकदम 23,900 से, एंड देन we saw it move higher towards 24,100, but again the bulls were in full force, and then we saw the session end somewhere around 24,000, somewhere around the opening level. So what is happening is basically there is a tug of war between the bulls and the bears. So at this point they are trying to see who is the dominant one. But what happens at the end of the session when the close is very close to the open, none of them win, and it's a sort of like a tie match. Tie as in neither the bulls won nor the bears won. So it was basically a range bound day. Also, this kind of situation is called indecision in the market, as the traders don't understand whether the bulls were in control or the bears were in control. And at the end of the session was a very flat session. So that is one thing. Now interpretation. Now sometimes this is considered as a potential reversal. Now one thing to keep in mind is doji आपके बहुत सारे टाइप्स के होते हैं, करेक्ट। सो जब भी आप डोजी देख रहे हो तो उसका पोजीशनिंग कि वो कहाँ पे बन रहा है एंड उसका प्रीसीडिंग प्राइस एक्शन क्या था वो आपका डिटरमाइन करेगा उसका इम्प्लीकेशन। सो डोजी आपको ये बता रहा है कि देयर इज अ पॉसिबल हॉल्ट इन द प्रीसीडिंग ट्रेंड और अ प्रोबेबल रिवर्सल। नाउ रिवर्सल इज वेरी आर्ग्यूएबल, बिकॉज रिवर्सल तभी हम लोग कंफर्म कर सकते हैं किसी भी कैंडल पैटर्न में या एनी फॉर्मेशन में जब उसका नेक्स्ट डे, डिपेंडिंग ऑन वेयर द नेक्स्ट डे इज क्लोजिंग और वेयर द नेक्स्ट डे इज ट्रेडिंग। सो आते हैं सबसे पहले टाइप्स ऑफ डोजी में। सो अगर आप देखो तो ये स्टैंडर्ड डोजी है। ये जो सिनेरियो है, स्टैंडर्ड डोजी जो सिनेरियो है, वो एक ऐसा सिचुएशन है जो मैंने अभी आपको एक्सप्लेन किया था। 24,000 पे ओपन हुआ, 23,900 का लो किया, एंड देन 23,900 का जैसे ही लो मारा तो उसने ये लोअर विक फॉर्म हो गया। लोअर विक फॉर्म होते ही आई मीन लो मारते ही बुल्स आए वापस 24,100 गए, जहां पे हायर विक फॉर्म हुआ, एंड देन अगेन बेयर्स कंट्रोल में आए, बट देन क्लोज जो था वो 24,000 के आसपास ही हुआ। करेक्ट। सो इट इज मोर लाइक अ क्रॉस साइन, अ प्लस साइन, आपको जो सही लगे आप वो बोल सकते हो। द नेक्स्ट इज द ग्रेवस्टोन डोजी। सो ग्रेवस्टोन डोजी इसे क्यों बोलते हैं? बिकॉज इट लुक्स वेरी मच लाइक अ ग्रेवस्टोन। सो आपने कभी टूम्ब वगैरह पे देखा होगा, जब सो आई एम प्रीटी श्योर आई डोंट नीड टू एक्सप्लेन व्हाट ग्रेवस्टोन इज। सो ग्रेवस्टोन डोजी ये तब बनता है जब इसका प्रीसीडिंग जो मूव रहा है वो काफी स्ट्रांग रहा है। फॉर एग्जांपल निफ्टी से हाइपोथेटिकली काफी स्ट्रांग अप मूव में है, एंड निफ्टी जाए जा रहा है फ्रॉम से 17,000 हो गया, 18,000 हो गया, 19,000 हो गया, 20,000 हो गया, एंड देन ये कैंडल पैटर्न फॉर्म होता है। सो 20,000 के बाद जो नेक्स्ट कैंडल ओपन होगा थोड़े बुलिश नोट पे हुआ या समथिंग ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट हैज हैपेंड, एंड देन जैसे ही वो ऊपर गया देयर हैज बीन अ स्ट्रांग सेलिंग। नाउ ये जो अगर आप विक देख रहे हो, इसका मतलब देयर इज अ स्ट्रांग सेलिंग अपर विक, इसका मतलब हाई काफी ऊपर का था, एंड देन इट क्लोज्ड लोअर, मतलब bears took control of the market at the high. For example निफ्टी जैसे मैंने अभी आपको बोला 17,000 से, हाइपोथेटिकल सिचुएशन है ये, 17,000 से मार्केट स्टार्ट हुआ, इट वेंट ऑल द वे अप टू 20,000, जैसे ही वो और ऊपर गया 21,000 के आसपास से, वहां पे द bears took control over everything and then market closed lower at say 20,000। तो यहाँ पे हम लोग को क्या दिख रहा है? पहले वाले एक डोजी में अगर आप देखो तो आपको इनडिसीजन था कि बुल्स कंट्रोल में है कि बेयर्स कंट्रोल में, बिकॉज ऊपर की नीचे की, मतलब ऊपर भी डोजी, ऊपर भी विक बना है, नीचे भी विक बना है। सो आपको समझ नहीं आ रहा था एज अ ट्रेडर, शायद आपको समझ में नहीं आ रहा हो कि हु इज इन कंट्रोल, बट यहाँ पे आपको क्लियर आइडिया है कि मतलब बुल्स इसको ऊपर लेकर जा रहे थे, देन बेयर्स केम इन एंड दे टुक कंट्रोल। So इसीलिए the close was a very close, I mean the end of the session was very close to the open of the session. So similarly इसका एक opposite बन जाता है ड्रैगन फ्लाई डोजी। अभी ड्रैगन फ्लाई डोजी में क्या होता है? से फॉर एग्जाम्पल देयर हैज बीन अ कंटिन्यूअस फॉल, और कोई एक पैटर्न ब्रेकडाउन था, एंड द बेयर्स थॉट दैट वी आर इन कंट्रोल, लेकिन एक ऐसे लेवल आ जाता है जहां पे द फॉल स्टॉप्स। एंड व्हेन आई से स्टॉप्स, मेरा एम्फोसिस स्टॉप पे इतना ज्यादा है बिकॉज ये नीचे जाने की कोशिश कर रहा था। अगर इसमें विक है मतलब इट वाज ट्राइंग टू गो डाउन, बट द बुल्स दे डिड नॉट लेट द मार्केट गो डाउन एनी फर्दर, दे पुल्ड इट फ्रॉम द लो, एंड लो के पास से भी ऐसे पुल किया कि इट क्लोज नियर द सेशंस ओपन और द सेशंस हाई। नाउ यहाँ पे एक और चीज आपको ध्यान रखनी है, दैट इज आप देख सकते हो कि ओपन एंड क्लोज अगेन इज द सेम प्राइस। Now that is always one thing that you have to keep in mind when it is a doji। आपका डोजी जब भी बनता है
तकरीबन ना बराबर होनी चाहिए। आइडियल सिचुएशन में आपकी रियल बॉडी बनेगी ही नहीं, बट अगर आपकी बन भी रही है तो इट शुड बी अ वेरी वेरी स्मॉल बॉडी व्हेन कंपेयर्ड टू द विक साइज। जब मैं यहाँ पे विक बोलता हूँ, इट इज द अपर विक और द लोअर विक। सो दीज आर अ फ्यू थिंग्स दैट यू नीड टू कीप इन माइंड व्हेन यू आर लुकिंग एट अ डोजी। नाउ अभी किसी को डोजी में कुछ क्वेरी है, डोजी के बारे में कुछ पूछना है, या अभी तक हम लोगों ने जो कवर किया है उसके बारे में कुछ पूछना है, ओनली देन आई विल स्टार्ट विद द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक।
Okay, till then, just giving a few examples. Karan, correct me if I'm wrong. I'll change these colors to red for the sake of convenience. Let's change the body color to red so that everyone's on the same page. Right, more of the standard. So let's try to find out a doji out here. This is the Nifty chart. Where do we get a doji? So this one.
Close to a doji.
So this one is very similar. It's not exactly a doji, but it is a kind of a doji out here. So if you see, it has got longer wicks, a very small body. Then we see a doji out here again, and doji kind of formation the next day after that. So this candle, as Karan said, shows more of indecisions. We don't know who's control. If you see the candle before that, we know the bulls are in control. See the candle after that, or after that, you see the bears are in control. But here, you see there is, you don't know who's in control. Again, here, it can appear anywhere in the market, but usually at a sign of exhaustion. So here we have March 24, we see a doji here again. And then if you see the market has been sideways, still we got a direction and then moved back up. Again, here we have a doji. So these are the examples. Karan, you were saying about the dragonfly doji, right? So see, this would be an ideal example of dragonfly doji. Long tail, negligible body.
Yeah, so understand what has happened here. Okay, so एक आप देखिए there has been consolidation for a while, and then next day after the breakdown probably जितने भी bears थे they tried to take control. Now अभी मैं ये डोजी पे I'll just zoom in more and उसका preceding अगर आप trend देखोगे, correct, it has been a broad consolidation. उसमें भी आपको multiple doji formations आपको दिखाई देंगे, but यहाँ पे देखिए कि ये जब भी break down हुआ ये previous session low का, तो there is a bigger chance कि जितने भी bears थे they all might have entered at this point, but then जैसे ही इसने session का low मारा, that was at around 21,975, bulls came in and how, देख लीजिए इसका इसका जो लो था वहां से जिस तरह से इसने पुल बैक लिया, करेक्ट, आफ्टर टेस्टिंग अ लो ऑफ अबाउट 21,975, इसका क्लोज देखिए 22,109 का है. So that is something significant. मतलब जो bullish interest है. And just look at the candles that are following that particular or the bears, they are trying to take control, but at the end of the day no one is able to. So वो एक kind of situation बन जाता है जहाँ पे it's a loss situation for the both because दोनों ही control नहीं ले पाते. So यहाँ तक किसी को कुछ query है, please put it in the chat box.
So I think so far we've given you an understanding of what a doji looks like on diagram, and we've shown you a couple of doji formations on the chart. Let's proceed further, Karan.
Yeah, sure. So after doji, the next major candle pattern that involves a significant trend reversal या exhaustion जिसे हम बोल सकते हैं. Now there is this specific peculiar thing about both these candle patterns. अगर कोई भी चैट में डाल पाए, now I'm talking about the hammer, and ये जो candle pattern आपको बाजू में दिखाई दे रहा है, that is a hammer, correct. And doji में भी there is a specific particular thing जो that मैंने यहाँ पे mention भी किया हुआ है, but आप अगर उसमें point out कर सको कि वो क्या चीज है that makes it very unique, या जहां पे हम लोग को एक ट्रेंड रिवर्सल या एग्जॉशन दिखाई दे रहा है, and it has got nothing to do with the real body or the color of the candle. So there is only one point left जहां पे जो कैंडल में बच जाता है at this point. तो कोई बात नहीं, what I'll do is I'll go ahead with this while you guys keep thinking, and अगर मेरे explanation के बीच में भी अगर किसी को कुछ ध्यान में आए कि उनको कुछ बोलना है जो मैं point out कर रहा हूँ, then feel free. Okay, so एक hammer बनता कैसे है? So there is a small real body, a long lower shadow, and a little to no upper wick. करेक्ट. सो अभी तक जब हम लोग डोजी देख रहे थे उसमें था अपर लोअर विक दोनों है आपके, काफी लॉन्ग है, शॉर्ट है, बट योर रियल बॉडी इज क्लोज टू जीरो, करेक्ट. एंड यहाँ पर हम लोग ये बोल रहे हैं कि देयर इज अ स्मॉल रियल बॉडी, मतलब ओपन और क्लोज में कुछ डिफरेंस है. एंड देन देयर इज अ लॉन्ग लोअर शैडो, मतलब पहले मार्केट नीचे जा रहा था बिफोर द बुल्स टुक कंट्रोल एंड द ट्रेंड द प्राइस इज रिवर्स्ड फ्रॉम द लो. एंड देन देयर इज लिटिल टू नो अपर विक. नाउ that again is a bit of a gray area, but आपको upper wick अगर नहीं ही हो तो best है, but अगर छोटा सा भी upper wick है तो then also you can consider it as a hammer.
Now, size, just to add on to it, the size of the upper wick will be very small or very negligible compared to the lower wick. The lower will be showing very strong fine, and that's the reason on the upper wick it would just be consolidation at the end of the day or slightly bearish push. But the size of the upper wick is either it's actually negligible, or no upper wick, very negligible compared to the lower wick.
Yeah, and the reason this is called a hammer is because this candle pattern actually looks very close to a hammer.
Now, if you have seen the movie Thor and his hammer, so it looks like the hammer of Thor.
Yeah, exactly, perfect reference. So अभी we'll understand ये कैंडल बनता कहाँ पे है. So imagine this scenario जहाँ पे the market is continuously going down. Now we'll look for a hammer probably later. हम लोग को दिख भी जाएंगे थोड़े hammer candles वगैरह. Okay, you know what? This is a clear scenario. See. You see where I'm getting with this? यहाँ पे देखिए consistent down move थे. There have been multiple attempts to for the market to go higher, but नहीं हुए. Consistently it had been falling, and then there was this candle. Now ये candle पे अगर आप देखोगे क्या हुआ है exactly? Prior trend जो था एक हमें lower low बनते हुए दिखाई दिया. And next to it was a candle that was inside the previous session range. Now उसका भी एक नाम है, and we'll be learning this in multiple candle patterns. But then the following day, the market opened very flat. Correct. And first session में क्या हुआ? The market fell. जब मैं यहाँ पे market बोल रहा हूँ, the underlying that I'm analyzing at this point of time. So जब market गिरा, fell from the opening price of 22,440 all the way to 22,256. मतलब तकरीबन 200 पॉइंट गिरने के बाद that is when the bulls came in strong. तो क्लोज इसका कहां पे हुआ? Just keep in mind that your low was 22,250. वहां से जो रैली स्टार्ट हुई, the market went up to 22,560. One shot मतलब वो अप मूव मल्टीपल इसमें गया रहेगा. But if you look at the daily candle, it went up. Correct. And वो बाद में it might have hit a high of around 22,600 and then closed lower. But that is not the point. अभी यहाँ पे आप देख रहे हो कि नीचे के जहाँ पर उसने लो मारा था वहां से significant buying interest दिखी. And then just look at the price action that actually followed. Correct. अप मूव था, मल्टीपल इंडिसीजन करके गया, बट देयर वाज एन अप मूव. मतलब एक ट्रेंड रिवर्सल जो है वो हैमर ने यहाँ पे सिग्निफाई किया. नाउ एट दिस पॉइंट आई वुड लाइक टू इंट्रोड्यूस यू टू समथिंग कॉल्ड एज बाइंग टेल्स एंड सेलिंग टेल. करेक्ट. सो ये हमारे वेबिनार्स में हम लोगों ने ब्रीफली टच बेस किया हुआ है कि व्हाट अ बाइंग टेल इज, व्हाट अ सेलिंग टेल इज. सो बाइंग टेल मतलब a wick, a lower wick that is formed or signifies strong buying interest from the low, strong buying interest from the low. अभी जैसे मैंने यहाँ पे बोला था आपको 22,250 का उसने लो मारा था, वहां से जो बाइंग इंटरेस्ट आई, it went all the way to the high. मतलब 22,250 से went all the way up to 22,580. So just imagine the kind of buying pressure that the underlying might have seen there. तो ऐसे जब wicks बनते हैं, they are called as buying wick, buying tail. And इसका inverse जब भी होता है, for example in this situation.
Inverse, exactly. Let's say we give you a situational different one. So see here again you see this down and a buying wick. So any other candle that you take up. So see now here, if you see, this has got both the buying tail and the selling tail, bottom wick and the top wick. So what happens is the market has gone from this particular point right up to here to this high. From there, somebody started selling. The bears started selling, let's say. So they have been selling all the way down till here. Let's assume that. So this entire region is where the selling was happening. So that's why we call this as the selling tail. At the same time, once the market reached this low, I'm talking about this candle, once the market reached this low, there was buying coming in which pushed the market upward. That's the reason a long tail is left behind. It's kind of a trail which is left behind by the buyers. So that's the reason we say this is a buying tail. The lower wick is the buying tail and the upper wick is the selling tail.
Yes. जैसे मेरे कलीग ने आपको समझाया, we are looking at tails to understand the market psychology. Now ये सब चीजें जब हम लोग आपको ये आपसे जब हम लोग डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, this we are discussing is the psychology. यहाँ पे मतलब traders क्या सोच रहे हैं, whether the market is bullish, bearish. इसका example यहाँ पर हम लोग को दिख जाता है कि जब भी there is a long wick, correct? जब मैं long wick बोलूँ, it is twice as big as the real body. It is thrice as big as the real body. अभी जैसे ये केस में देखिए, यहाँ पे भी one might argue that there is a long wick, which I agree. Yes, 4th of June को मार्केट नीचे गया था, and then वहाँ के लोस से जो बाइंग आई थी, and आप देख सकते हो कि वो probably आज भी कंटिन्यू हो रही है. So this is where the tails, yeah, the lower wicks, upper wicks, they come into play, because वो एक सिग्निफाई कर रहा है कि द स्मार्ट मनी और द बिग मनी दे आर एंटरिंग इनटू द मार्केट एंड अगर एक लॉन्ग टेल बन रही है ऑन अ बेरिश डे मतलब that buyers who are entering the market they are not in a mood to go in the same direction as the as the existing जो ट्रेंड चल रहा था उसमें अभी फॉर एग्जांपल ये दिन में जब मार्केट काफी गिर रही थी देयर वाज अ सिग्निफिकेंट बाइंग इंटरेस्ट सो मतलब समवन हु वाज बाइंग वाज नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन गोइंग इन द डायरेक्शन ऑफ द पेयर्स करेक्ट एंड जैसे यहाँ पे था देयर वाज अ सिग्निफिकेंट गैप डाउन वन डे प्रीसीडिंग द 4th of June सिग्निफिकेंट गैप अप हुआ वहां से ऊपर जब भी मार्केट जा रहा था it was a clear sign that someone smarter is actually taking a lot of interest and then wahan se but that interest is in absolutely opposite direction of the what the trend is doing at this point now bear in mind guys at any point of time आपको अगर लग रहा है कि information ज़्यादा हो रही है we can break this session into two we absolutely don't mind
but just to add to Karan, a buying tail or a selling tail does not imply somebody smarter but somebody who's got a different view than what is existing or a group of people or different people or institutions. So it's not necessarily smarter, but they have a different view as compared to what the crowd is doing, and they have the power also to move the markets in the direction that they want.
Yes. So till this point, does anybody have any query? Does anybody have any doubt? Please put it in the chat box.
So guys, don't want to rush through it, but if you have any doubts, please post it on the chats. In the meanwhile, we can continue. Karan,
Yeah.
Get into the inverted hammer.
Yeah. So now when we look at the hammer, इसका एक opposite kind of pattern भी बनता है, but that also happens at the low. Correct. So उसे हम inverse hammer कहते हैं. Again the psychology is the same, but वहाँ पर कैसे होता है कि जो मार्केट है वो थोड़े पॉजिटिव में क्लोज होता है से फॉर एग्जांपल देयर हैज बीन अ स्ट्रांग डाउन ट्रेंड करेक्ट एंड देन उसके बाद वी ट्राई टू आई मीन this video is live on YouTube right now. Yeah, so as my colleague has typed in, it's live on YouTube and will be uploaded the moment we end the session. So one thing that you have to keep in mind is when you're looking at a hammer or an inverted hammer, these are patterns that are formed at the fag end of a strong down move. करेक्ट सो जब भी इस तो मतलब इसके प्रीसीडिंग जितने भी कैंडल्स होंगे दे माइट बी स्ट्रॉन्ग रेड कैंडल्स सो ऐसे टाइम पे जब इन्वर्टेड हैमर बनता है सो वहां पे कैसे होता है कि मार्केट ओपन्स ऑन आइदर अ फ्लैटिश नोट और प्रोबेबली अ गैप डाउन एंड वहां से देयर इज अ बाइंग इंटरेस्ट करेक्ट बट जब भी ये बाइंग इंटरेस्ट होता है बुल्स आर ट्राइंग टू रीगेन देयर कंट्रोल बट वो पॉजिटिव क्लोज जो होता है करेक्ट दैट इज व्हाट कीप्स द मार्केट्स होप्स हाई कि मतलब यहाँ से देयर इज अ पॉसिबल रिवर्सल. So I'll try and find out if we can find some sort of inverted hammer candle pattern, but nonetheless इसका exact आप ऊपर पकड़िए, exact आप इसका उल्टा कर लीजिए कि मतलब इसकी real body नीचे होगी, जो wick होगा वो ऊपर होगा. Now I did not put that particular candle pattern in this PPT because वो थोड़ा confusing हो जाता था. But then
yeah, just I'm sorry to cut you, Karan. Understand the idea behind this is to give you these patterns and make you understand how these patterns are formed. What is the psychology that goes behind the formation of the patterns? So when we have a long tail or a long lower wick, we know that there is a lot of buying pressure that is coming. When there is a long upper wick, we know there's a lot of selling pressure coming. So candlesticks, these have been given different names for the sake of convenience and remembering it. But nevertheless, we would want you to understand the psychology behind the formation of these candles. And that's the reason this whole explanation.
Yeah. So now we will go. अभी जैसे हम लोगों ने देखा कि if the preceding trend has been down and there is a support or a hint of a reversal, then you see a hammer or an inverted hammer. Now we will go to what happens at the top. So say for example we've had significant rally in the Nifty and Nifty went from say 17,000 to 24,000 and right now the bulls are showing some sort of exhaustion and this is where the bears come in. And जब ये exhaustion जब आपको दिख जाता है when the sorry bulls the bears take over the bulls एज इन आप एक बात समझ लीजिए कि मार्केट कंटिन्यूअसली ऊपर जा रहा था, सो देयर इज एन एक्सपेक्टेशन कि आज के दिन भी वो ऊपर जाएगा, बट देन स्टोरी सडनली चेंज हो जाती है. And that is when you find a candle pattern like this. Now this is called a hanging man because it's a bit dark, but it resembles a hanging human body, because आप देख सकते हो कि there is a head and there is the real body represents the rest of the body, and because it is at the top it is named the hanging man. Now this is ये इसका नाम specifically ऐसे दिया हुआ है because लोगों के दिमाग में ये register हो जाए. I know it is a bit dark, but this is the fact. So अभी जब ये hanging man बन जाता है ऊपर में, so idea is there has been a strong up move and then there is a sudden halt, and halt के बाद क्या होता है कि the bears try to take control but the bulls are not willing to let go, but the end candle is a negative candle. Now negative candle में यहाँ पे it is important because after a series of green candles जब एक bearish candle form होता है, that matters because all of a sudden there is a bit of a change in the sentiment, and जब ये sentiment change हो जाता है, if the next day we see an opening below the real body of the candle, that is when the bears are now pretty sure that trend is probably changing, and that will give you an idea of who is in control. So one thing that you have to always keep in mind is जब भी आप single candle patterns आप देखते हो, confirmation is something that you need. अगर एक कैंडल पैटर्न पे अगर आप डिसाइड कर रहे हो कि there is a reversal, then trust me, you are going to fail. अभी हमारे ही एग्जांपल में आप ये निफ्टी के लाइव चार्ट में देख लीजिए, how we will see multiple times जहाँ पे there have been buying tails, selling tails without a follow through. Now a few minutes back I did see a candle, but I am pretty sure that you people might be getting a gist of what we are trying to tell you. So always a confirmation will make the candle pattern way more reliable. Now किसी को hanging man and hammer, inverted hammer, shooting star. Now okay, shooting star is the exact opposite of this hanging man. मतलब imagine the real body being down and the wick being up. Okay, so just keep in mind, shooting star इसे नाम क्यों दिया जाता है कि आपने कभी भी अगर shooting star देखा होगा तो as the star falls it leaves a tail behind. So the candle pattern shooting star represents that कि मतलब यहाँ से वो again वो थोड़ा और ऊपर जाने की कोशिश कर रहा था, but the bears took control and it pushed it lower. So there was a tail that is left behind. So that shape actually represents that of a falling or a shooting star. So इसीलिए उसको नाम दिया गया है shooting star. So with this we complete our single candle pattern, and यहाँ तक अगर किसी को कुछ query है, कुछ पूछना है, then feel free. This is a gist of what we have learned till now.
Take a pause for 5 minutes, guys, and then you all shoot some questions if you all have, and then we can continue if need be. Guys, if you have any questions, please do shoot some questions if you'll have it. And as Karan mentioned, these candlestick patterns standalone cannot be of much utility to you. Yes, it might once in a while, but these candle patterns have to be looked into in the overall scenario. So is it been an uptrend, and then what kind of formation is happening? A downtrend, what kind of formation is happening? Sideways trend, what kind of formation is happening? What happens after that? Things like that. So standalone candlesticks might sound of not being of much utility, but yes, understanding candlesticks patterns helps you understand the psychology of the market. What Karan covered today is majorly candlestick patterns which are standalone by itself. Further to this, we have candlestick patterns, which is a combination of two candles. We have candlestick patterns, which is a combination of three patterns. Right? That would take another session altogether by itself, a bit more complex candlestick patterns, as we had to start from the basics of making you understand what candlesticks are, how is a candlestick formed, and various other things. So what we could cover is the major single candle formation candlestick patterns. The more complex patterns, the multiple candle formations, would be carried out in the next session, which the team will let you know shortly in a day or two's time. We will be pausing the session here. In the meanwhile, we will be online for another 5 to 10 minutes. Any questions, any queries, any doubts, please feel to put it in the chat box. Adesh, I'll come back to you. Put it in the chat box, and at the same time, those people who are on YouTube live, please put in your queries on the comments as well. We're monitoring that too. So, Adesh, you would want to know the June 3rd Nifty 50 candlestick pattern. Just let me get to it. So, June 3rd Nifty 50. Right, Adesh. So, from what you understand from us, if you could just tell us what has happened. So what is June 3rd? What is on the June 3rd, and what happened? What do you understand? What do you understand out here? I will get you to the explanation. In the meanwhile, I would like to know what have you understood from this session. Others, if you could post in a comment, a brief understanding. I don't want you to understand. Have you understood what is the body showing us? Fine. Any which ways.
So I'll explain what has happened that day. Now, अभी candle pattern की अगर आप बात करो, so one thing you have to keep in mind is not every candle pattern has a name. Okay, so what you have to understand is what is the psychology behind that session's price action. Okay, so at this point, 3rd June की अगर मैं बात करूँ, so
3rd June was the election
result, pre-election result date.
The exit poll was declared, right? So we got an exit poll and it was very euphoric. It started about 8 in the morning, and by the time the market opened, we saw single party leading majority and all. There was a very euphoric opening. That's the reason you have a huge gap up. The day before that, the market was not sure what's happening. So you see this doji, which is happening, indecision, open, low, close, open very close to the close, and the upper and lower wicks. And we had a gap up opening. Karan, what happened post that?
Yeah. So as we had a gap up opening, we saw our previous session close was somewhere around 22,915, and us din I think was the first day when Nifty breached about 23,000, if I'm not wrong. No, sorry, 23,500, sorry. So that was the first day जब Nifty में एक काफी अच्छी significant move हमें दिखाई दी थी. Correct. Market open हुआ as my colleague mentioned, because of all the exit polls and all those things. Yeah, all the exit polls and all those things. The market tried to go up. But अगर आपने उस दिन का news flow अगर आपने follow किया होगा, तो there were some, I mean, during the day, the sentiment suddenly went sour and things changed a bit.
Some doubts, some apprehensions being cast, some news coming in.
Yeah.
And that is where people started getting jittery, and the bulls started losing their grip on the market. And the bearish people, the people who were bearish or people who wanted to book profit, they started selling. Right? And that is what caused the market going from the high coming down to the low.
So, अगर आप exactly high देखोगे, so see, like we mentioned, you have to understand what the psychology behind that candle pattern is. So psychology clearly said that during probably the initial few hours of the trading, market was very bullish, and I mean based on the news, the bulls were very confident of their position, and they went from somewhere around 23,600 all the way to 24,050, 24,060.
From there, they dropped down right up to 23,375, wherein against the bulls took control and managed to close it at a slightly higher than the low. Pretty high. So that is where the buying tail is, right? So this is what happened on the 3rd of June. I see there are certain people who mentioned that, okay, Arunava, you said that it's a bearish candle with the whatever lower wicks, upper wicks, that's perfectly right. Nupur, yes, bullish piercing. I would come to that bullish piercing and bearish piercing candle because these patterns, candle patterns work with 2 or 3 different candles. So we'll come to that at a later stage. Another Karan, anything you would want to add on to this?
No, I think my colleague has covered majority of what has happened during that day. So we would like to reinforce that while you are looking at candle patterns, one thing you have to be very clear is to understand the psychology. कि if there is a long tail क्या होता है, if there is a sorry long upper wick तो क्या meaning है उसका, if there is a long lower wick तो क्या meaning है उसका, if there is a small real body, if there is a big real body, try and understand the gist of what the market is trying to tell you. So I'll put it to you in a very plain language. One of my closest colleagues tells me repeatedly that the candles, they have a tendency to talk to you. Correct. And that is absolutely right. They have a tendency to talk to you because there are 4 data points in a candle. And that particular candle, those particular data points, they are giving you information. They are giving out information. So it becomes really significant as a trader for you to understand or decode or decrypt whatever the market is trying to tell you. If you listen to the candle patterns, there is always a message and it is always helpful.
And as I say again, candlestick pattern alone will not help you get an overall view. Understand what the candlestick pattern is saying, related to what has happened, what has been happening before that pattern. You will get a fairly good idea of what's the market telling you. There is Ramit. I see that you posted on the YouTube live that you would want to know the different time frames these candles. So the candlestick patterns work across all time frames. But if you ask me, or as I would say, Karan would also conquer, or any of my other colleagues in the analysis and research team would conquer, these patterns are more relevant when they are a higher time frame. So I would not go anything below a 1 hour time frame on a candlestick pattern, because when you go to the lower time frames, you have a lot of other things happening. You have algos, you have high frequency trades coming in, which causes a disruption in the patterns, in the candlestick formation and the patterns of that. So I would say a 1 hour, but preferably if you ask me, I would look more on a daily and a weekly basis to have a better judgment on those candlestick patterns and what those patterns would like to say.
So just to add to what my colleague just said, so जैसे जैसे आप छोटे टाइम फ्रेम पे जाओगे वैसे वैसे आपका noise बढ़ेगा. So a chart you have to always keep in mind is a combination of noise and information. Correct. So जैसे जैसे अभी जैसे we are showing you 15 minute पे जैसे आप
see every candle has got a wick or something or the other. So this is the hammer. This is a candle showing downside, but then again, the market is moved up because there are a lot of other things that come into play. It's not only a buy and sell that's happening. So if you go to a much smaller time frame, usually it is completely distorted. So there, the candlestick pattern do help, but there's a lot of noise that comes in. It could be because of algos trading, it could be because of high frequency trades coming, it could be for any other reason, or institutions putting in big orders, could be various reasons. That's the reason I prefer personally on having these candlestick patterns on a higher time frame. The minimum that I would go if I want to have a very micro view would be an hour. I personally would not go below an hour, but for me, I would say that a day and a weekly gives you a better summary of the candlestick pattern. Karan?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with my colleague. And the lower you go on the time frame, the more confused you are going to be. Now, for example, I'll give you the most recent data, and you look at the chart here. Okay, this is the daily chart of Nifty. Okay, you see that there has been an up move, then a slight correction, and then a broad consolidation. You just go on to the 1 hour data, and you see a bit more jitter. Now I'll take you to even lower, 15 minutes, a lot more jitter. See, at one point you should be able to recognize the candle pattern. So आपका chart जो है वो ऐसे नहीं होगा. It is going to be something like this. And just look at what we were looking at 1 hour, what we were looking at 1 day, and look at the kind of information that you're getting right now. Now, अगर आपको ज़्यादा confused होना है, go on a lower time frame, and you're getting a decent, and you're getting slightly more noise. और आपको कंफ्यूज होना है और नीचे जाइए और नीचे जाइए. But the point that we are trying to make you, what we are trying to convey is, the lower you go, the more confusion you are going to have. So what you have to do is always strike a balance between the noise and the actual trend. So once,
Ramit, I would refrain from commenting on scalping and if you can use it or not. There are various, so we always say that there are various methods to skin the cat. Right? You can use it on your better judgment and use it for scalping. If not, there are various ways to do it. I per se would not. I would refrain from commenting on that. But yes, candlestick patterns can be used, as Karan previously mentioned. The candlestick patterns, if you look at it properly, talks to you. Only thing is, when you go to a lower time frame, there's a lot of noise that's coming in.
Yeah, so I'll put it to you in a much better way. ठीक है? So say for example, आपके पास दाल और चावल है, आप उसकी खिचड़ी बना लो, दाल चावल बना लो, it's on you. So how you use these candle patterns, it all depends on you. कि आपको इसको कैसे खाना है, आपको कच्चा खाना है, आप लोग कच्चा खाओ. अगर आपको उसको पका के खाना है, आप पका के खाओ, खिचड़ी बनाओ. It's completely on you. So what we are giving you is basically the tools to understand the market psychology at any given point of time. Now, as far as the candle patterns working on intraday chart goes, I'll put it to you this way: कि once you learn to drive, okay, you can drive on an expressway, you can drive in the city traffic going from your work to your home to your work. ऐसे situations में भी आप चला सकते हो. So technical analysis is very much like driving. एक बार आप सीख गए, once you understand the psychology, then आपको बस आपका judgment लेना है, आपका destination set करना है, and off you go. So these are a few ways of us conveying to you how useful or how resourceful a technical analysis can really be.
So guys, we would love to be with you more, but we're running short of time for the day. As I said, there are still more on these candlestick patterns which I would want to explain, but due to shortage of time, we would push it forward to another session. I'll be here with my team for another 5 minutes. In the meanwhile, any questions, please do post. We'll be happy to address your queries. And guys, somebody was asking me that where do you see this? These will be posted up. The relevant links will be coming up on the website very soon. The work is in progress. There is a learning app that we are coming up with very soon, which will be having all these videos and all the learning material that we are talking about right now. An app dedicated completely towards the learning process. A learn app that we are coming up with. In the meanwhile, guys, I would want you all to have maximum participation. Please do follow us. Give us a shout out on our Twitter handle, our LinkedIn handles, on YouTube Live. We would love to know from you what is that you would like to learn from us or hear from us, and we would be glad to provide that. Another 5 minutes, guys. Shoot any questions that you have, and then we can call it a day.
And as you try and type you type in the queries, what I would like to say is we also conduct webinars on the expiry basis, on options and all those things. So to stay connected, just subscribe to our YouTube channel, just click on the bell icon so that you'll be notified every time we go live, every time we come up with a new video. And also follow us on social media handles, because we try and put out these unique insights about the market that might be useful or might be like a good for your information kind of knowledge. And then we also have our morning and midday reports wherein we try to combine everything, and it goes out as an app notification. So make sure that you have our apps too.
So guys, another 2 minutes, and if any questions, feel free to shoot it out.
So we see a query about demand and supply zone. So at this point we are covering. So technical analysis is a very vast subject. Very vast subject. We cannot, we know of traders who have been in this industry for decades and they are still learning something new every day. So we'll take one step at a time. And at the moment we are focusing on the candle patterns, the psychology of candles, and all those things.
So demand, supply, and other technical analysis parameters are there in the pipeline. That is there in the planning. So stay connected. You will see a notification on this very shortly, not maybe next week or 10 days, but soon this is also going to come up. So we're going to try to cover everything that would be required for an investor or a trader to empower himself. Right, guys? So as I said, be connected. As Karan mentioned, click the bell icon so that you're notified of any new notifications that come in. Follow us on Twitter. Be there on LinkedIn. We would be glad to hear from you. Right, guys. So it was nice connecting with you. Any Telegram channel, Ramit? We have a Telegram channel, but that's only for the current subscribers. To have access to the Telegram channel, I hope that you're a subscriber. If not, do subscribe to Access Securities at WhatsApp.
So,
we have a WhatsApp
channel.
Yeah, WhatsApp channel. So my colleague will be posting up the WhatsApp channel links after post this into. So the WhatsApp channel is known as Access Direct. So there is a public channel, Access Direct. You would be connected with us there as well. Right, guys. Thank you for the participation. Thank you for being with us. As we short of time, we would need to log out now. We would be glad to connect with you later and continue on this topic. Thanks, Karan, for your time and the lovely explanation. And thanks a lot, guys, for being connected. Karan?
Yeah, so thank you for joining in. It was nice taking a good, it was a very good session, is what I believe. And if you have any feedbacks, do feel free to give us. We'll curate more content, more focus towards you. We'll make sure the delivery is right. Yeah, we can. You can also type it in the comments.
Comment section, your views, your feedback, your suggestions. It's always welcome.
So that's it for today, and we'll end the session right now. Thank you guys for joining in.